And one of the things I was actually interested in was when I attended the briefing day back in September, um, that was kind of put on by the TSB and AECB. I was kind of struck by how many people were actually there, and it's something I thought, well, that there's quite a lot of interest here, and I was wondering if there's any ongoing or developing work with the TSB in light of the retrofit competition.
Absolutely. The fact that so many design and construction teams have been set up working with committed clients through this project is hugely important in itself. It was very exciting for the AECB to be able to set the framework for this competition and then to see so many creative minds start looking for solutions. It has also been a pleasure, I have to say, to work alongside the TSB team. There is another project, yes. The next joint project with the TSB is to extend the AECB's low energy buildings database to include the retrofit for the future projects. We're going to build, we are in the process of building an accessible front end to allow people to explore the projects, their design strategies, the adopted technologies, and of course to see the results of monitoring each home's real world performance. So that should be a very exciting project.
So you've gone through 4 kind of current projects that the AECB is working on. What can we expect to see from the AECB in the future?
The UK government appears to be continuing to favour megawatts over negawatts. Now we're planning to research the case for demand reduction. We have a working title of Less is More. With this piece of work, we aim to explore and clearly articulate the financial, the democratic and the political benefits of widely applying demand reduction strategies. We want to assess potential UK-wide solutions that appear to be currently unappreciated. The paper will put forward a scenario for reduced energy use and CO2 emissions, with increasing UK health and comfort levels based on a demand reduction scenario, using a range of viable policies, specific measures and supporting technologies. We're taking the vantage point, a view as if people mattered rather than the view of the political class or big business. It considers these issues from a bottom-up and not a top-down perspective. It will outline the scenario and action plan, and it will suggest the financial, democratic and political benefits that could result. This should be an interesting piece of work. Watch this space.
We've talked about a number of different topics today, primarily to do with energy use in buildings, in water use as well, and the methodologies to achieve low energy and water use. But one thing we haven't touched on is materials, and I'm curious to know how important are low carbon materials to sustainable building, and kind of creating a sustainably built environment.
The development, promotion and affordability of sustainable or green construction materials remains a fundamental concern for most AECB members, with many members active in the field of sustainable materials and product supply. We believe that the overall environmental impact from heating and powering buildings currently significantly outweighs the impact from the embodied energy of key building components for low energy buildings. The problems of unsustainably grown or sourced materials are also taken extremely seriously by the AECB. There are also important debates to be had around the issue of demolition versus low energy refurbishment, for example, particularly related to embodied energy, health, waste streams and overall environmental impact.
One of the areas that has always impressed me with the AECB is the rigour with which it approaches its research projects.
Yes, I agree, Eric. The AECB promotes a building physics science-based approach, encouraging thoughtful, rigorous case-by-case assessments for the sustainability or otherwise of materials and construction systems, whether they're polystyrene or wood fibre, insulated reinforced concrete or timber frame, straw bales, clay plaster. The AECB has at its core highly innovative and experimental membership. You can see also from our technical discussion forums that our leading expert practitioners do not let greenwash, false or misleading claims or poor building physics go unchallenged. It's very important now for the UK to very rapidly learn how to design and construct buildings that perform as intended with respect to energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. Buildings that are going to reliably perform long term as genuine low energy, low carbon buildings. Over the next few years, we will increasingly need to adopt more long-term, sustainable and carbon sequestering materials for construction, and we should be exploring their potential in an advanced energy efficiency context now, where this does not conflict with radically reducing in-use energy consumption.
Given the breadth and depth of the AECB's body of research, how would the AECB like to see the building regulations develop in order to ensure a kind of more sustainable built environment?
Well, here's a quick list of what we'd like to see as soon as possible. Designers choosing to use PHPP as a design tool should be allowed to submit formally certified buildings to building control in lieu of SAP or SBEM calculations. Silver standard, the ACB Silver standard, to be allowed as an equivalent and complementary standard to the new zero carbon hub standard for minimum energy efficiency. Passive house standard to be embedded into the code for sustainable homes at the appropriate level, and specifically for full credit to be given for energy efficiency measures, as demonstrated by the use of PHPP, again in lieu of SAP, where a formal passive house certification is carried out, although potentially current SAP revisions may or may not make this step unnecessary. Code for sustainable homes, or BREEAM, to allow points to be given for passive house even where on-site renewables, etc. are not included. And the ACB Silver standard, using PHPP as a compliance tool, should be adopted as a permitted equivalent route to compliance for Part L1 of the building regulations, unless, of course, alignment with CSH and zero carbon hub routes allows automatic integration, which would be good.
There's some specific areas where you think could improve, I suppose, the UK approach to building legislatively, but just stepping back a bit more from that and more generally, what do you think the government could and should be doing to promote sustainable building?
Our government is very good at crafting the language, obviously intended to set the international pace between building design and construction. We believe the government should quietly continue to increase understanding across departments of how to ensure the actual delivery of new and refurbished low-energy, low-emission buildings that work as intended, by drawing on the best experience and understanding as embodied in the Carbon Light programme. We would say that, wouldn't we? The government should also reconsider its commitment to nuclear generation, and with a significant new R&D budget, look again at how demand reduction across all sectors could be combined with other consistent sources of baseload power generation, such as tidal stream, before these technologies become victims of the vast financial and political investments in nuclear panacea. All of this needs to be considered in an integrated and a broad way. To this end, we think government should carry out an independent, broad-ranging study to look at the potential benefits arising from widely applied demand reduction strategies, assessing the financial, democratic and political potential. Beyond the fragmented, costly and arguably unworkable vision that we see developing piecemeal here in the UK, the AECB remains convinced that a far better and more complete vision for a reliable, cost-effective, safe, clean, healthy and demonstrably low-carbon Britain is possible.